Good. Again, my name is Norville Barrington with the Metro New York chapter of the National Black MBA. I'm going to welcome you to today's financial literacy series, where we're going to be focusing on careers in the real estate industry. We thank you very much for attending today's conversation, and I'm now going to hand it over to Vanetta Hawkins for introductions.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Norville. And hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Yay. I think that's kind of a little bit different now since a lot of us are working from home anyway. So, Friday is kind of every day somewhat, but happy Friday. We're excited to bring this series to you and talk about careers in real estate. Today, our focus is going to be just drilling it into for realtors. So the role of a realtor, we have some top industry people here to kind of dig deep into just, their role and how they're successful. But before we get started, just with the question and answer, I wanted to just give you a little bit of statistics around the realtor role. So I pulled up the National Association of Realtors, some statistics from this organization. And this national organization, all realtors roll up to the organization itself. And first I'll say it's 100% commission job. Stop the press. Yes, so it's 100% commission. The national income average is around $41,000. Okay, I'm just gonna, don't jump off the call now, stay on, good stuff still to come. However, in the New York market, New York actually has the highest national income at $102,000 for realtors that work in the New York space. And then I will also say the top 10% of realtors across the country make six-figure income, and some even obviously seven. So with that being said, a little more details around them. 74% of realtors have some form of college education. 67% of them are women, so girl power, yes. And the average age for a realtor is 53. However, about 12% of realtors are 30 years or under. And then I also just, one little caveat around, if you think about the average age is 53, the average first-time home buyer is 32 years old. So big, age difference from that perspective. So to kind of maybe just sum that up, we have college-educated people making six-figure income. They're typically going to be middle-aged, and they're servicing millennials. However, one thing I will say, after grouping that together, this is the Black organization, and I want to do a quick little poll, and Norville, you can help me with the answers. So out of the whole entire country, what percentage of realtors do you think are Black? You can type your answer in on the chat, please. Any answers? I can't wait.
So we have 3%. We have roughly, I'm going to throw a guess in there. I'm going to say 2.36.
Well, thank you for that 2.36.
We have 2%. We have 10%.
Gotcha. Okay. So I will let you guys know that only about 5% of realtors nationally are actually Black or African American. And then to even just add another caveat to that, 9% are Hispanic, 5% are Asian, and 74% of realtors in the country are whites. So, there's a huge opportunity for growth from an African-American, Hispanic, from a minority perspective, a huge opportunity for growth. And I'll even just say 76% of housing formations are minorities. So that's how we live today in the country, which people don't even know that statistic. So typically right now, we might have non-minorities servicing minorities. So With that being said, that was just my little introduction of the role itself. Now I really want to get into our fabulous leaders. We're going to try to cover a little 5 topics here today with our call. Building successful teams, owning your own brokerage, the tools to staying on top, value of partnerships, and adapting to change. So I will first let my fabulous Larissa, she's my co-host, allow herself to do an introduction of her so you guys know who you have on the line.
Great, thanks Vanetta, and good afternoon everyone. It's great to be here. My name is Larissa Longchamp. I'm a business development officer at Citibank. I've been in the mortgage business for about 15 years, and I'm really excited to co-moderate today's discussion. I won't talk too much about myself today because I'd really like to hear more from our panel. So great seeing you all today.
Fabulous. Awesome. So our 2 speakers that we have today are Clara Lyons Devon and James Hughes. They are 2 industry leaders, and I would really like to get started by asking them to give us a brief description of themselves, how long they've been in the business, what are their title, and I would say the biggest question with here my initial statistics is with the national income average only being $41,000. Why choose being a realtor? So I think it's a great question to start. Mrs. Clara, would you like to go first?
Sure. My name is Clara Lyons Devon. I am the broker owner of Lyons View Realty. We service residential, commercial for small businesses and nonprofits and property management services. I'm also I've been in the business since 1996, and we'll be launching Lyons View Academy next month, and Lyons View Academy will be doing pre-licensing and continuing education, credit counseling and distressed home ownership solutions, and also lifestyle, health, wealth, and wellness education. So that's like another arm of my business. Why did I go into real estate? My dad was very heavy in real estate. He wasn't a realtor, but he owned property. He had an apartment building. We owned our house, which at the time, a lot of people didn't own their own home. So I grew up with my mom and dad in the property, and also he owned a business. He owned several businesses. So I grew up with an entrepreneurial father. Although I was the youngest of 5 boys, I wasn't considered like in the business. He was looking at the guys, not looking at me, but that's okay. And then the other thing was I really just saw that owning property was power at a very, very young age. And as I got more involved in real estate, I'm now with the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. I'm the board chair for the Southern New Jersey chapter. Looking at the statistics where African Americans own 42% of properties, whereas our white counterparts are at 79%. My heart is for people of color to own property, for us to be in the equation of wealth building, because I saw property as a way to build wealth.
Awesome. I love it. Power and in the equation. I love it. Thank you for that. James.
Oh, good afternoon, Vanetta.
Oh, same question for you, sir. I'm sorry.
So I started in real estate in 2004. I was first real estate curious in 2000. I hit a glass ceiling in the garment business. I had worked 23 years in ladies fashion for the larger companies, the Jones New Yorks, Liz Claiborne, Donna Karan, Guess Jeans, just to name a few. And I had hit a glass ceiling. I was only going to get a certain place. They weren't going to let me beyond that. And I went to a industrial psychologist and took a skills assessment test. And it came back that there were 10 things that I would do well at. And the one that was off the chart was real estate broker. So in 2001, I first took the classes, completed the classes, and then was offered a job. I I requested a salary that I didn't think they would say yes to, and they hired me to go work for a golf apparel company in Carlsbad, California, named Ashworth. They make the licensed apparel for Ashworth and Callaway. So I worked there, and about a year and a half later, again, glass ceiling. What was promised on the way in wasn't delivered once I delivered my result. So I came back to New Jersey and got a real estate license. And I decided to focus on our community because I felt that we had a community of people that were underserved. And notwithstanding my office being in Montclair, a very affluent town, I do my business in more of urban Essex County, urban Hudson County. And I've grown a business by doing the work in the areas where people didn't want to do the work and providing value in terms of educating people along the way. We have a mission statement. So I have a team of agents that work with me and administrative people that are on staff. And what we say, and I kind of wrote it down, I just wrote it down. We do what we do, where we do it to serve communities that have been underserved by real estate practitioners. We seek to raise the bar by providing an excellent and professional client experience to home sellers and home buyers. We take our stewardship of this mission seriously, and we are looking to build a sustainable business, one satisfied client at a time. Not only have I been able to replicate the kind of financial lifestyle that I had in the garment business where I worked 23 years, I was able to break my own glass ceiling. So economically, but also in terms of influence in the industry. So I'm grateful for that. I hope I've answered the question.
You did. That, you know, that breaking of the glass ceiling, economically servicing the underserved. I think, James, when I think about, you know, I know you very well for a long time now, and you are out there in the markets where people might not necessarily be. So definitely commend you for that. I see now to hear it, I didn't know you were in the fashion industry, but knowing you and how your suits detail it, the fits, I see it now. It's all clear.
I didn't rock the suit today, but yeah. So.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I know how you get down. Awesome. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So, James, you just shared with us some interesting information about your trajectory. So you talked about moving from the garment business into real estate, and you've evolved more since then, right? So you're now a broker associate, and you've gone from individual sales to building a team. So you have several agents, you have a marketing associate and an assistant. So can you tell us a little bit about why it was important to take that step and how it's grown your business?
Okay, so I could only, so when you start out as an agent, the inclination is to do it on your own. You want to put your signs on the lawns of people's houses or on the side of buildings and properties. And I did it that way. And so I got to a certain point where you can only do a certain number of transactions. So to put it in perspective, in an office where my office has 243 agents, their average price point is about $600,000. Mine is about $250,000. I'm in the top 5% in terms of sales volume in an office of 243 where the price point is higher. So I have to do many more units to achieve that. And the only way to be able to do the units that I needed to do to achieve certain goals and not hit the glass ceiling was to get outside of myself. So I made the mistake of hiring buyer agents, but I was hiring newer agents as buyer agents, and then realized that I was becoming the administrative assistant to those buyer agents. So then I was like, well, wait a minute. In the garment business, I had an assistant. So I hired an executive assistant. I literally hired from my office the person that was running the whole office. She wasn't happy, you know, in her position. She was looking for an opportunity and more money. So I hired the office's person that was managing 240 agents to work for me. So she handles everything. So that was the first hire. The second hire was my son. My son got a real estate license shortly after college, about 2-3 years ago. And then it wasn't his interest to work with buyers or sellers, but having one foot, in that, like wanting to have one foot in that millennial world, he brought value in terms of social media, certain marketing stuff that we do, and also administration in an area where my assistant needed backup. So my assistant needed an assistant, and he managed the transactions that went on. So I was able to go from starting out doing a dozen transactions a year to 18, then from 18 to 36, from 36 to, in 2018, doing 90 transactions with just the two assistants. So now in 2019, I started putting buyer's agents. So we rolled it back a little bit in terms of volume, but we added buyer's agents and we pay them a split. So my staff is on staff. It's my own corporation. I have an LLC. They're W-2 employees. They're not subject to the ups and downs of collecting a commission. And my fellow broker in South Jersey could shake her head to that. So the staff is paid, and then the agents that are under me are on commission. And how I modeled my business was to be more seller-centric, because like treating sellers like an account. So just like advertising agencies have accounts, I started lining up all these sellers' accounts. It was more efficient time-wise than working with buyers. But the listings, the sellers, that creates leads. And so I've got all these buyer leads from sellers, and now I can feed other agents. And so that's what I'm doing right now. So even since this coronavirus, I've added one more W-2 employee. I've added a 1099 assistant that wants to do freelance work, and 2 buyer's agents. We're in the process of figuring out where they're going to fit in. So the bio I sent you said 4, it's 6. It was 6 at the beginning of Corona. It'll be 8 to 10 people in the next couple of weeks that we have the team built out to.
Wow. You're growing your team with the coronavirus. I say I'm living my best life. You seem to be living your best life too.
So many things happen for people in a cave. Daniel was sent into a cave. I'm going to start Bible thumping. Don't let me start doing that. Jesus came out of a cave glorified. And I figured we're all in this cave mode right now. We're all like kind of quarantined. Mm-hmm. And if we don't come out better, I keep telling my team, we've got to come out, not that we make more sales or more money, but we come out better as people and as professionals out of this downtime. Like we using this time, like the seven habits of highly effective people, Stephen Covey. This is the 7th habit: sharpen the saw. So touch your database, work on skill sets, developing skill sets that maybe you didn't have before. Explore, like, what's the next best thing? I have a whiteboard over there. And what's the next best thing I can do? And we ask that self about ourselves and for each other. Like, what's the next best thing that I could do for the team? Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. I love it. Mrs. Clara, so you are a broker owner of Lions View Agency, where you have agents that work for you and are part of your team. Describe to us the value of being a broker owner and how has it assisted in your longevity and flexibility within the market?
I think one of the most valuable things is just control over what you do, how you do it, and when you do it. And James has a really great model, in that he's built a company inside of a company. And there's a lot of security in that. A lot of people go to certain brokerages because they can do that type of model. But with that comes, it's like you live in my house, you play by my rules. And so as a broker owner, I get to basically set the culture, just as James has set the culture for his team. I get to set the culture for my company. And Lions View is it's just that, my last name is Lyons, but the lion as a creature, as an animal, is really a unique creature. It's a hunter, and in real estate, you have to know how to hunt. You have to be able to be in team, actually, because if you notice, lions, they hunt in prides. They're in groups, right? And as a group, when you put people together of like skills, of like-mindedness, of like vision, because that's very, very important. So I have a specific intention, which is to help people of color purchase property, no matter where it is. So from, the hood to the hills. I'm originally from California, where we actually have hills, unlike New Jersey. But in order to service that market, though, I need people who share that vision and share the same values. So as broker owner, I'm able to have people work with me who share the values that I have, who see the vision that I see, and we're able to go out and tackle it together. And I think, too, there's also flexibility. One of the things I felt, because I came through different brokerages, was I was doing a lot of things, but it never was told why I was doing it or how. It's like you learn math, right? But if you don't know how to apply math in certain situations, it doesn't have much value for you. And math is very important, and actually in language, right? In poetry, in you can apply it in different ways if you know how to apply it. And so what I was able to do in my own brokerage is basically apply things in a way that made sense for the people that I was serving. And that's probably the biggest thing that I enjoy about being a broker owner, that I can do business the way that I want to do business. And when I need to shift, I can make shifts very easily without having to still check a lot of boxes that don't provide any value for what I'm doing.
I love it. So sharing the value, sharing your vision, and going out in there and hunting for the business. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that.
That's great. And I think that one of the benefits of hearing both of your perspectives is that, just like in a lot of entrepreneurial roles, I think real estate allows you the ability to sort of build your own path, right? So two different approaches, maybe different philosophies, but similar results. So James, in 2018, you were the 5th highest ranked Keller Williams agent in all of New Jersey. You were also recognized by Real Trends nationally as top 40 agent for contracts closed, and you've also won the Circle of Excellence Award 6 years in a row. So can you tell us about how you've been able to sustain that level of achievement?
Sure. So 2018, actually, I was 5th highest ranked Keller Williams agent in the tri-state area. So that's New York,
Okay.
New Jersey,
Awesome.
Connecticut.
Okay.
Okay. That year was 8,400 agents, and I was number 5. So
Okay, superstar.
I just wanted to make it.
Right. That's not a small feat. Congratulations.
So, but so at 2018 was the first assistant. So that was me and one assistant. And the thing that I didn't want to lose. So when you start building a team, invariably people like just like in a restaurant, if you have a bad experience, I want to talk to the manager. I want to talk to the owner. And I didn't want to lose that ability to touch people. So I think the bulk of my business, let me just break it down this way. The bulk of my business comes from repeat business or referrals. People that I've taken care of, and they refer me to somebody else. So those referred people or repeat people already have they're predispositioned. I don't have to work too hard to kind of coach them, to help them either buy or sell real estate. But what happens is when you build and you do so much volume, you don't want to lose touch. So I've always left it so that my team knows when something hits a critical path And the clients know if something's critical, I'm still there to touch them. And I think that it's the personal touch aspect of it and the access that I create for people while still having professional boundaries in terms of the hours, I work. I have a very healthy, people say work-life balance. I say life-work balance. I have a very healthy life-work balance, and that's because of the leveraging of the talent that I put around me. And I think that those two things, being high touch, being letting people know that we're not just here as a money grab, that we actually care about them and we care about the community that we serve. So we're very active without too much self-promotion in the neighborhoods that we serve as well.
Awesome. Thank you for that, James. That was awesome. I think about something you just said, and I think about competition. One of the things you mentioned before was just breaking your own glass ceiling. So there is no competition other than yourself. So that's awesome.
It's very much like golf. So they have a golf tournament. There's however many golfers, but then there's, they break them down into pairs or fours. And so you're battling the group, the field, the players. You're challenged by the terrain, the landscape, but then you're also playing against yourself. Golfers always measure themselves against themselves. So it's those three areas. You want to get better professionally, you want to get better within your group or office, and then amongst the field of players. For someone that I wasn't always I'm not just motivated by the money. It's what you can do with the money and how you could serve people, but also the motivation comes from I'm competitive. I played sports in high school. I'm very competitive, so I want to get up the scoreboard. I don't know. I think that's what drives me.
I see. So your anthem is all you do is win, win, win. No, just I get it. I respect it. Okay.
Man plans, God laughs. And then we're knee deep in Corona. So whatever the numbers were that we thought we were going to do, they're going to be different this year, but we're still going to have success. So it's still a good time. Actually, in a shifting market. You'll agree, my fellow broker, Clara, in a shifting market is the best time to actually get into this if you're going to be professional and committed about it, but in a shifting market is the best time to kind of enter in.
I love it. So Mrs. Clara, you've been in the industry since 1996. Long time, seasoned lady. And you've had many leadership roles throughout your tenure. So in addition to the Lions View Realty, you're also the past president and the current board chair for the South Jersey National Association of Real Estate Brokers. So how has your involvement in national organizations assisted you with your career growth?
Wow. Partnerships are everything, Partnerships are everything. There is a leverage that you get with partnership that not only builds your knowledge base, but it also builds your resource base. So as it's kind of like having extended family. You can go to another state and have relationship. You have a place to stay. You have an arm to do business. So instead of having 2 arms, it's like being an octopus. Now you have 8 arms. And all of those arms are there to assist you however you want to be assisted. I think one of the things I love about the National Association of Real Estate Brokers is there is a sharing of information and wealth that I haven't experienced in any other organization. I learned so much about the business of real estate through that organization and people like a James or people like, who had much more experience and resources that I did that not only extended their experience knowledge to me, but also extended their resources. So if I needed to go to someone else's office and use a copy machine or use a conference room, you know, as I was building the business, all of that was fine. Or if I had a client across town, I have another broker owner there that I know who says, okay, you know, you can meet with your client in my office, so you don't have to travel all the way back across town to do business. So I think it's relationships, partnerships are the most important thing. And also it's a part of building teams. So the team is not just the real estate professionals, it's the lenders, it's the home inspectors, it's the attorneys. They're all of these people, it's your buyers, it's your sellers, you know, everybody is part of your team and everybody has a role. You know, they have something to contribute. And if you look at what people have to contribute and what you have to contribute to them and say, you know, let's leverage our resources and we can all be better together, it's a powerful space to operate from.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So being better together, leveraging your resources, your knowledge, just capturing all that from and being that octopus and being able to connect with everybody across the country. Awesome. I love it.
Yeah. One of the things that I think I do differently, I've been doing business across the United States for a while. So when people say, well, where do you do business? And they expect me to say, oh, you know, this county or that county, my business space is national. And that's part of my goal set, to do so many transactions across the United States. And I'm actually working on a deal now in Africa. So again, that's leveraging, that's partnerships, that's being in relationship with people, because my base is national, international. I'm from California. I've traveled internationally. And through all of those relationships, I've met people and stayed in touch, which is really, 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 really important. The very, very, very first thing that I learned when I started in real estate, the guy was saying, relationships are the most important thing in this business. And that's in any business. You know, as James was saying, you know, touching the people that you service, letting them know, especially now, as we're going through COVID, that you care about them, that there are things that you might be able to do or assist them with is very, very important. And people remember, you know, they don't care what you do, they care how much you care, you know? Right.
They care about your passion, and they can, you know, passion shines through. So great. And I will tell you, when you say, if people ask you, where do you do business at? And you say all over, I will attest that I remember asking you that, literally that very same question a long time ago. And that was your answer. So, from Africa to California to Miami, Miss Clara is there for you. Awesome. Thank you for that.
So, Clara, with that last response, it's like you knew what this next question was going to be. This is a question for both of you. You know, we talked earlier about the fact that real estate professionals are full commission, right? 100% commission. So like a lot of business owners, you're in uncharted territory today with the COVID crisis. So can you both tell us a little bit about what you might be doing to stay relevant, stay in front of clients and partners, and to continue to drive business?
For me, it's education. I'm really, really strong on education in all seasons, but in this season particularly, one of the things that I've been doing is something called Financial Fridays, where I have, I'm not only providing information for my clients, but also for other businesses. So what's going on with the CARES Act, you know, how to get funding through PPL and through the EIDL loan system. I'm providing resources to my business partners in different companies, and also providing resources and educational information to my clients. So it's like, you know, these are your rights during this time if you're a tenant. These are your rights as a seller if you're going through difficult times. This is how to get in touch with your lender. You know, these are the rules for forbearance, what to do, what not to do. In fact, Ms. Bonetta was on one of my shows. So it's just I think education is so very, very important. And so having the school coming up, Lions View Academy, just being able to share, because all the time, that's part of my what do you call it, the secret sauce? My secret sauce is ESP, expertise, solutions, and patience. And in this market, I think we just have to be patient with one another. We need to have expertise and information, educate each other, and work through solutions together.
I agree with a lot what Clara said. What I find today, so like most of the calls since, so I shut my team down probably about it was like when the millionaires that own the NBA teams shut it down, I shut my team down, and everybody's been working from home since then. And so we huddle up, the team on Zoom and whatever Facebook, FaceTime on the phone, and we get together that way. The team, because the messaging has always been consistent, the team has been good. So my crew is tight. These other calls that I make are to past clients, buyers, sellers, people in my pipeline that I've been talking to, and it's more or less it's a well-being check just to see how people are doing. And I've told my team to make the same well-being checks. And we actually offer, if you need anything, if you need anything, don't be afraid to ask. And we mean that. So never offer to do something for somebody and not be prepared to be called on it. And so we get called on it, and we're delivering, wherever we can deliver to touch base with people. Those conversations sometimes, not all the time, they digress into a real estate conversation. And people who like, hey, I've had enough, I want to sell, or people who, are coming from the boroughs and they want to come over here because even though we're densely populated in North New Jersey, we're less dense than New York. So the 4 of the 5 boroughs, so it's all relative. I always tell agents, when things go well in New York, things go well in North Jersey. When things go bad in New York, things go well in North Jersey. So that people coming and going. Eventually they make enough money, they get sick of paying the taxes up here and they move down south, but or out of the state. But all jokes aside, a lot of other conversations have been had with other realtors in my office, not on my team, or outside of my office in my sphere of influence, where this is uncharted territory for everybody. No one knows what this is like. But in Clara's case, she's been through a down market before. She's been through 9/11, right? You've been through. I've been through as a voyeur in real estate 9/11, but then we went through the market ascent. Then we went through the crash, 2008, right? Then the Hurricane Irene, Hurricane Sandy up here, down there, you got it too. And so agents like us have been through the preliminary fights. We've been through the playoffs. And now we're in championship time. And a lot of agents aren't getting the leadership. So like if there's one thing, like all the educated folks out here that are watching this, MBAs, the ability to work in teams, collaborate with people, even if it's informal teams, like Clara mentioned, and the ability to lead is critical in this business. Unless you want to just grind out and do a couple of transactions here and there, you've got to be able to build teams, and also you have to be able to work on leadership skills. And if there was, classes just on that, I think, there would be a lot more success in this business for our people of color. Just like Clara, I'm committed to, I feel that a rising tide lifts all boats. And when I joined my office, there was 3 of us. My office is significantly more brown since I've been there. Now, whether everybody embraces that or loves that, that's not something I have control of over there. You have control over it there. And that's the positive about being, owning your own franchise. I decided to strap myself to the 800-pound gorilla in the room called Keller Williams. And so that's enabled me to, with their branding, leverage my name. But, you know, I'm building it to a point that I might consider opening up my own shop one day, just like you. But the truth is, you know, all of those things, we stay together as a team. We have a clear message and messaging about where we stand in this. We've been shut down for a while. You know, now we're coming out and doing certain things, but we're being very COVID responsible during this process. We reach out and touch our clients. We deliver on our promises if we ask them if they need anything, and they do. We reach out on all the people that we touch just to make sure people are okay. And then we're also coaching agents that are, for the first time, trying to navigate. You know, calm seas, the last 4 or 5 years have been great in real estate. And now we get punched in the face. So now agents, you know, like Mike Tyson famously said, everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. This is the punch in the mouth. And, you know, we're gonna have winners and losers in this. You know, and from a real estate perspective, nobody's really winning in this. But from a real estate perspective, we'll have winners and losers in this. And I want to be on the winning side of this when it's over.
James, you sound like
the other thing too. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I said, James, you sound like you're missing sports, like many of us.
Oh my God, it's terrible. It's bad. I mean, you know, at least during other crises, there was some sports somewhere. Just to have no sports, it's like nothing. They're playing reruns. I know the outcome. See, the beauty of sports is that you don't know
right.
the outcome. But now that I know the outcome, I can't watch those games. And I got to tell you, you lose Kobe, and then this happens, Corona.
Right.
Like it's really been a rough, you know, from the sports fan perspective, this has been, you know, a really tough time. And I'm a Giant season ticket holder.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
That's just sad within itself. That's just sad within itself.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
Well, well, we don't know how this is going to come out. But one of the things I did want to say is business is still going on. It is, even in this market. I just put in an offer yesterday. There were 11 offers on this property.
Wow.
Yeah. 6 of them were cash. My client had the highest offer, but the sellers took a cash offer because of the environment that we're in. That was for less money, but it was an all cash offer. I got a call from one of my referrals in DC about a transaction that they're in the middle of right now. Before this call, had a call from another client about a transaction that's going on in Philadelphia where the money is being held up because their funds are coming from out of the country. And so that's a cash deal as well. So business is still happening. People are still buying real estate. I would caution, because I believe in safety first. We're doing virtual tours. Vanetta, you were asking one of the things that's different. We are doing virtual tours of properties. Vacant properties are selling, having more activity than properties that have people in them, of course. But real estate is still happening. And there are agents who are still out there showing property.
Right.
And some of them not being as responsible as I would think they should be. So I would say definitely safety first. Real estate is still happening, even though COVID is happening. People are still purchasing homes. And in terms of careers in real estate, as James is saying, this is a great time to get your license and get in, because when we get to the other side of this, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to lose homes. And a lot of those people look like us. A lot of people have had deaths in their families. There are things that, it's unfortunate, divorce, death, and disability. All of those are changes in circumstances that unfortunately provide opportunity in the real estate market. So all those homes, are going to be available. Some things, guidelines are probably going to change as a result. It's kind of like how AIDS used to be. If somebody died of AIDS in a house, that was a big deal and people didn't want to buy the house. And we're over that stigma. for the most part, and I'm sure we'll get over the stigma of COVID, you know, in the future. But it's sad. It's really sad because people are losing their lives. But all of these things are going to change our market and produce a lot more activity in the market. So it's a great time if, in addition to whatever else you're doing, to get your real estate license or not get your real estate license and be an investor. You know, you can work with a real estate professional like James, you know, or myself, and purchase something. Since day one I got into real estate, I always said, buy real estate somewhere. Right. You don't have to live in it, but own the property, because the people who own the property, they get to make the rules. You know, they get to say. And when they say you have to get out of their property,
right,
that they want to take it back, you have to go. You have to go. So you always need something that belongs to you. And for our millennials, I just want to say, sometimes you don't want to buy grandma's house. You don't. But keep grandma's house in the family. Put another rental family in that property. Put another family member as a rental in that property. Keep the property if you have the means to keep the property. So there'll be opportunities to do things in the real estate market, because it's not just real estate agents. There's just, the field of real estate is so diverse and so deep. I don't think people get all of the opportunities of things that you can do in real estate. And that's why.
While you're saying that, I did a recent interview with the president for the National Association of Realtors. And just to kind of speak to what you and James are saying, he did say that while people may think a lot of realtors are going to be jumping ship, this will be the opportunity and the time where there are a lot of people going out now and getting their licenses and becoming realtors. So from a you know, this wasn't one of our questions, but one thing I would just ask, just we have a little bit of time, is what is the process? I mean, in order to get your real estate license, should we have people interested?
So there's classes you have to take. I forgot the number of hours. They're in class. 75 hours. You take a class at a school, and then when you complete those classes, you take a test at the school. You've got to pass that test. Then you take a state test, and then when you pass that test, then you get fingerprinted, because they want to make sure that they're not hiring any felons, known felons, or anybody that's in the database where their fingerprints were. And then you have to hire an employing broker. You could hang your license at Clara's office or at my office, any real estate office, but you have to have an employing broker.
Awesome. So
that's the easy part. That the stuff that you learn in real estate classes, once you get past the fair housing stuff, which is very important, the ethics stuff, very important. The other stuff you very rarely use. Correct me if I'm wrong. Shake your head if I'm right, Clara. Very rarely used. There's skill sets that you have to, you either have them or you have to be able to develop them. And it has to do with, you have to be the good thing about real estate, you work for yourself. The bad thing about real estate, you work for yourself. And if you're not able to self-manage, if you cannot manage yourself, then this might not be the business for you. You have to be able to manage yourself. So that's just one of those things. You have to be able to connect with people. So in other words, have a servant's heart. Have a heart of being a servant, because people think selling real estate is about talking, and it's not. It's really about listening, asking leading questions, being able to mirror and match people, at their level. So if it's a millennial and I got to communicate with them through a text message, that's what
all the time.
That's what I do. And if it's somebody that's old school and I got to sit in their kitchen, pre-COVID, I'd go in their house and sit in their kitchen and have a conversation with them. And even if it's a 3-hour conversation about nothing, and then a 15-minute conversation where we sign paperwork, you have to be able to connect with people at their level. And then have a goal, whether, like a yearly goal, maybe a 5-year goal, but then take that goal and break it down into pieces. Just break it down into pieces. Because if you come in and you're going to get overwhelmed by what you see other people are doing that are way ahead of you, or I've seen very smart people enter this business and not do well. And then I've seen people that come here, English is their second language, they don't know any better, and they don't get in their own way. They get out of their way. They get out of their own way, and with reckless abandon, they achieve success in this business. It would be so great to have people with the education, MBA education, backgrounds in financial literacy, enter this business with a servant's heart and an ability to coach people through what we know are going to be difficult times, and look at the disparity between Black agents and Black people buying homes. And people want to work with people that look like them. And we don't have to be exclusively, I have many clients from many nationalities, but I using the 80-20 rule, I decided to do business in the communities that I felt were underserved by real estate practitioners.
I love it. And then just as who are the other key players in real estate? Like, what other positions are there from a real estate perspective?
Well, if one is more like analytical, so like if you have a DISC test, you have dominant influencers, you have people that are kind of structured and compliant. So those structured compliant type people may do well at appraising. The licensing for appraisal, becoming a certain level of appraiser, has changed. They're requiring for some of those licenses or certificates, college degrees. That wasn't the case before. I'm noticing appraisers aging out of the business. So it's going to create an opportunity. And if someone is willing to do the work, apprentice, then become their own appraiser, and then form a company, and then form the company as a MWBE, a Minority Woman Business Enterprise.
Yes.
Link up with the banks like Citibank, and link up with the companies that are, Wells Fargo, the big banks.
And hire those diverse suppliers, yes.
And so that's a skill set that people wouldn't otherwise, think about, that you could have in this business, being an appraiser. Or just some people get the real estate license with the goal of 3 years later getting their broker's license and owning a business and never going out to show property or anything. They lead teams. So if someone has strong leadership skills, but doesn't really want to deal, they want to lead salespeople. They don't want to be out at Mrs. and Mr. Seller's house or taking Mr. and Mrs. Buyer out. They can, start their own company and lead a team. And then, of course, there's opportunity in investing. I've helped one group, two brothers that focus on, finding, fixing, and flipping homes in East Orange and some of the urban Essex County. And I've sold 32 homes for them. 32 homes. These guys went from starting it. One guy was the financial guy. One guy was the boots on the ground that did all the construction stuff. And they started it. They were doing it on the side. It was something they were doing. It was like kind of a hustle. They had their jobs and they had this hustle. And it went from 1 or 2 houses a year to multiple houses, to both of them quitting their jobs. And now they've employed people. They're employing people. So I look at the ripple effect that we could have on people in our community with, financial literacy classes like Clara's talking about, and helping people navigate this, but also creating multi-generation wealth and legacy in this business, and the opportunity to have had a hand in helping. My son's got a license. My godson's got a license. I'm out here recruiting for 2 people. I recruit for Christ, and I also recruit for agents. I'm always looking for talent. So, and I like to surround myself with talented people. And now that I know you, Clara, we're going to be exchanging information. I meant to say this ring, and it's a coincidence that I'm wearing it. There's a lion on there. So I like that.
You are a hunter.
Yeah, I'm a Leo also.
Indeed.
There you go.
Indeed. Yeah, and there's also property management, and the area, especially for MBAs, is commercial.
Commercial.
There are not enough people who look like us represented in the commercial space, and that's where the big bucks are. My nephew is in commercial. Now, commercial deals take forever, but at the end of the day, when the check comes, oh my God,
Big checks.
you know, that's good money.
Less black. It's way less black. The commercial agents, way less than the residential.
5% for residential. Jeez.
Disproportionately more male. Than
Right.
more suits.
Yes, it is.
You know, more structure. So it's disproportionately more male. But I met a sister in Newark. I can't remember which agency she's with, and she's crushing it because she was intentional about understanding the opportunity zones that Trump created. She's leveraged that, and she's just doing these. They take a long time to close, but when she closes, she's getting paid. And she buys
Big checks.
Yes.
Big checks. So I love it. Commercial real estate, appraisals, all good places to definitely be from a real estate perspective. Thank you both so much. Norvell, let's maybe open it up to questions if anybody has any questions out there.
Question right now in regards to opportunities. So when we look at it from a commercial aspect or a residential aspect, is there a difference in terms of careers, in terms of what's more lucrative? Where should a person pay more attention to, commercial or residential?
I know the answer.
It depends on your skill set. So commercial real estate skill set is actually more vast. As James was saying, if you have a linear mind, appraisals is good because you're dealing with, you know, certain skills. But in commercial, an MBA is necessary. The educational requirements for commercial are much more intense. You have to know your stuff. So if you have the skill set for commercial on the intellectual side, commercial is a lot more money. Howsoever, you can make a great deal of money on the residential side. It's just more, it's a different, I can't say more work. James, that's not the right word. It's all work. It's all effort, but it's a different kind of effort.
It's completely different. And I would say it depends on, Norville, to answer the question, I think it depends on where you're, like, what your war chest looks like, your financial war chest, because when you go into commercial, the company is going to give you the leads, or you got to pound the pavement like really hard. And often the bigger the property, the bigger the commercial asset you're going after, the bigger the structure is to get to it. There's gatekeepers and all. So if you've got the war chest and you've got the sphere of influence that lands you more in commercial, then go for it. And my strategy was this. I wanted to go where I thought so I'm all analytics. So even in working where I'm working, I looked at where the turnover is because I wanted to replicate a paycheck. I wanted to be able to replicate a paycheck, and doing that with commercial, it would take longer to build that pipeline. So I did it in residential because I can serve, even in real estate, the guys that focus on $1 million listings, they take less of them. So if they have one transaction and it doesn't work out, they're devastated. I could have 10, 20, $250,000 to $300,000 transactions going through a pipeline. One or two don't work out. It's not the end of the world. And so when I entered the business, I had a package from Ashworth, you know, because they had promised some things, didn't deliver. And I told them if they didn't want Reverend Al Sharpton and Spike Lee on their lawn, that they had to give me a package. They gave me the package. I took the 1-year package, and I didn't fall into real estate. I chose to be in real estate. And so I was very strategic about it, and, you know, wanted to become the big fish in a small pond. And then now I'm increasing the pond, you know, because I got to, you know, I'm a bigger fish now. So, but that's what I wanted to do. So when it started, my goal was, boy, if I could just get one check a month, one closing a month, that's where the 12 came from. Then I said, well, if I could get a closing and a half, if there's such a thing a month, then it was 18. So it was 12, 18. Then it was like, I could do 2 a month, 24. Then, wait a minute, 36. And then you just keep building, you know, from building out from that. And you try to not lose, definitely never lose your ethics, okay? One transaction is never worth your licensing and your ethics and your soul. And to deliver on what you promise, over deliver, you know, if at all possible. Do it consistently, and then ask for the referral. Ask, like, once along the way, I'm asking people, you know, even if I haven't closed their transaction yet, you know anybody that's interested in buying or selling real estate? And it comes out. It just comes out, and that's what I do.
As a salesperson, it's in your DNA. It's in your DNA.
The other thing is, you got to let everybody know that this is what you're doing. And it's going to take a while before your own friends and family, because we're predispositioned not to do business. You know, this is the Jim Crow stuff where we don't do business with each other. So it took me 3 years to get my own family to do business with me. Now, you grew up in the business, Clara. That's different. So you had your dad's legacy to kind of help you along. But my family,
help me though.
As soon as they offer him another job, he's done. And he's going to leave this business as soon as he gets an offer from Ralph Lauren or this or that. So it took me 3 years to prove myself outside of my sphere, to get my sphere to then start referring me. Now everybody's on board.
I love it. So just to, you know, I want to definitely say, Clara, James, this was awesome. To our audience, we're definitely going to be having some additional deep dives in the future. You know, some of the biggest takeaways I got today was break your own glass ceiling. There's power in owning real estate. Have relationships with a shared vision, partnering from a resource and knowledge perspective, embracing change and leading through change. It seems like both of you are doing maybe just some different things, but definitely are some true leaders and really leading through this change. And maybe everybody won't make it, but it seems like what you guys both have going on, you're definitely going to be able to come out even stronger than where you were prior to COVID. So I thank you both for your excellent conversations and your talk. I think this was really great. Larissa, my fabulous co-host, as always, amazing. Amazing as well. Norval, do you want to close us out? Andrew, what's happening?
Here's Andrew.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
Go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
All right. Again, thank you so much, Larissa and Vanetta, for this conversation. It's been great. And thanks so much to James and Clara for sharing your wisdom and knowledge. Just to go back, I'll use the word seed as a metaphor. We planted a seed about, I think, 4 weeks ago, and now the plant is slowly but surely coming out of the ground. And now, hopefully, in a few months' time, it will bear fruit. I'm a big person of, I'm a big visual person, a big person that thinks big. And I like the idea of us sharing this information about real estate. It was first protecting ourselves, now knowing the industry of real estate. And now the next thing to do is hopefully you guys invest and start planting your own seeds, because we as a people need orchards of us out there investing in the community. It can't be one tree, it can't be one oak, it can't be one maple. It has to be orchards of us so we can feed future generations of the knowledge and investment we have in each other. So I really look forward what's next and what's out there. And it's a testament to all of us are willing to step forward in resilience and providing this knowledge and this leadership in this time.
I receive it, brother. Amen.
Yes, orchard. I love it.
That's it right there.
Thank you very much. Norval, you could take us away and thank you.
So on behalf of the National Black MBA Metro New York chapter, we want to thank everyone for attending today's webinar. This is just the beginning of our conversation in regards to careers in real estate. There's more in store. We're going to thank our guest speakers, our hosts, and thank you for attending, not only for investing your own time, but for what it's going to lead to the future. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful weekend and look forward to having you on part 2 of Careers in Real Estate by National Black MBA Metro New York chapter. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.